Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors Academy, the place where we not only talk about what's going on in the gun world, but also how we're going to fix it together. Now, the content that we're going to talk about today is something that Kamala Harris jumped into the fray for gun control. Now, of course, this is to be expected. They're the top of the political echelon for the left. The left wants gun control on the far left, so they're going to, of course, placate to that need. Everything's going to be linked in the description box below, but I'm going to show you something that's becoming a bit of a pattern that these exact same people, the acolytes of gun control, certainly aren't mentioning. And in fact, it bears and demands that we bring it up as advocates of our rights in this country. Again, everything is linked, and let me know what you guys think below. And if you are new or you're a returning viewer, please consider hitting that like button, subscribing to the channel, and making sure you turn the notification bell on. We need as many of you as we can to get into the fold with us, to spread information, to pass the blessing of the Second Amendment along to the next generation. And thank you in advance for your consideration. And the content today is brought to you by SDI. Now, I know a lot of you out there like to upgrade and modify your own guns. And if you're looking to turn a hobby into a career, Sonora and Desert Institute can help. Their online programs cover everything from ballistics to woodworking and finishes, shooting, sports management, and more. Plus, all the tools and materials are shipped directly to your door. There's never been a better time to turn that hobby into a career, so what are you waiting for? There's a link in the description box below, and thank you so much to SDI for making this content possible. And as we go into the content, remember the little game that we made. If you see a Biden re-election ad before this video, make sure you leave a comment and say how badly they wasted their money, because there is no place for that here. I look forward to your comments. Let's get into it, because the astute, the esteemed Vice President Kamala Harris has come out with her very well-reflected thoughts on gun control and how to prevent the tragedies that we must demand stop. Only the solution is not to perpetrate an infringement across an entire nation's rights. It's about actually getting to the problem. That's what we're going to do right now. So let's talk with Harris, and then let's look at actually what she's calling for. VP Harris on mall shooting. All Americans deserve to be safe from gun violence. I think all Americans deserve to be safe. 100% agree. But that doesn't mean that they're safe in a little bit of a no rights area. Like, hey, you can have your free speech, but you can only have it in that little cordoned off safe little area over there. You can have your Second Amendment, but only with these drastic amounts of restrictions, which are very European and very central controlled. No, that's not how this works. These are rights. It's not like you can go and say you can only vote if you're this demographic because of this and this reason and this reason. That's not the way this works. You are a citizen, you have these rights. But let's continue. Let me show you what she's saying, and this is the crucial part, because this is how they get you every single time. Quote, all Americans deserve to be safe from gun violence, but they are not, Harris continued. Not because we do not know the solutions, not because the American people are divided on the issue. It's one of the most polarizing lightning rod issues in our society. Even a majority of gun owners support sensible reforms. Now, that's the first thing that they'll get you with. Sensible reforms, common sense reforms. They're not going to tell you what those are. People just support them. The problem is in the vagueness. But let me show you what she's talking about, and then I'm going to walk you through what we know so far about this tragedy in Texas, and you tell me if it applies. Harris urged Congress to send a bill to President Joe Biden that would ban assault weapons and high-capacity magazines. This is sensible reform. And would introduce universal background checks. We need action, Harris added. Okay, so universal background checks require national registries. That's federally illegal. You can't do that. Magazine bans would do absolutely nothing to curtail the problem, and assault weapons bans are an infringement upon the Second Amendment itself. We need to stand up to these criminals, these murderers, these psychopaths, in my honest opinion, but not through punishing the victims of these crimes, through empowering them, through the ability to actually fight back. Because this is a lightning bolt. The only way you fight this is if you've got people in place to fight this until we can figure out the mental illness in this country. Because that's what we're dealing with. But let me show you. Because now there's some more stuff. And keep in mind what she wanted. Background checks for universal, which requires national registry. Assault weapon bans and mag bans. Check this out. Suspect had history of mental health problems. Shocker. That's becoming a bit of a trend, isn't it? Kentucky, health problems and suicidal. Nashville, health problems, suicide, or mental health problems, suicidal. Now you've got Texas, health problems, suicidal. Are you noticing a trend here? The trend is mental health problems and suicidal. Anyway, let's continue. Preliminary information developed during the investigation indicates the suspect was in the U.S. Army in 2008 and was removed due to mental health concerns. Law enforcement sources briefed on the probe tell ABC News. So prior training, was in the Army, Discharged because of mental health concerns. Let's continue further. Investigators have determined the suspect had no criminal history and opened fire with a semi-automatic rifle, according to the sources. So universal background checks would have caught nothing on this individual at all, zero, because there's no criminal history. They're also a loner, so there's no one to flag any kind of red flags, and that's the next step they'll take. The shooter was equipped with a ballistic vest, numerous magazines, and additional handguns, the sources said. And this is the part where they're loner. None of the subject's postings analyzed to date were liked or shared by other users, nor were there any public comments, according to the sources. The suspect account did not contain any friends or associates that were publicly visible, the sources said. Now, they're talking about their social media presence and some very dark things they were putting on there. So they were completely alone. No one was around to say, hey, stop doing this or you need help. They were completely isolated. They had no criminal history, and they had a discharge background from the Army in 2008 of mental illness. None of those things would have been caught by any of the sensible reforms that they pitch you. Red flag laws, wouldn't have caught it. No one knew what was happening. Universal background checks, nothing, no criminal history. AR bans, you can't do that against the entire population of the United States. Your sensible reforms fall quite flat, even by this individual. Not to mention backing out this year alone. And that's what I've got for you guys. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I will see you on the next one. I'm Braden. See you later.